Good morning, everyone. All right, well, another Monday and another start to a very important week. We have a lot of data this week. We have the biggest thing is FOMC and interest rates on Wednesday. So I don't know if I'm gonna trade on Wednesday. It usually the options usually don't move much. But Juneteenth is on Thursday and the market is closed for that. So maybe I will trade Wednesday to see if it moves decent. But anyways, this morning was a absolutely fabulous morning. Um, it was great, like just a great morning. It sucked at first, but then it was great. As far as pre-market analysis goes, this is what the chart looked like. This is obviously extremely bullish, getting lower lows, invalidating the drops, creating nice pivots on the way down. You can see the fractal inverse head and shoulders on both ES and NQ. Very easy morning to be bullish. Now, keep in mind, I'm bullish for my yellow lines to hit. However, we don't have many yellow lines. The nearest one is here, which is a pivot. Each yellow line is a pivot. That goes without saying. And here on NQ. So, as you guys know, we are currently pulling back. If this pullback invalidates, I will be in calls for at least the nearest pivot, and maybe it continues past that. Because we do have a gap in supplies here on NQ, I do think if we get this pivot, it's likely to get to this supply. So, yeah, that's the pre-market analysis. Very bullish, lower lows, chopping down, nice pivots on the way down, inverse head and shoulders, all that jazz. So that's the analysis. Whichever one is stronger. When a majority of this pullback invalidates, I have to be in calls for this pivot on NQ and this pivot on ES. NQ is a lot closer. And here's the first candle in the market open. There you go. Right when that candle started, it's easy to see that NQ is stronger than ES. I did fill on calls roughly here on QQQ. I got a pretty dang good fill. I mean, I watched those calls go from 40 cents to like $1 in one candle. Um, but I filled those calls at 65 cents. Didn't sell any here, obviously, because I just got in. But candle closed super bullish from the get go. Basic liquidity and momentum analysis, as always. You guys know I trade the exact same way all the time. There's first PT hit. Didn't trim anything there. I didn't really trim anything until supply. This candle here. So on this candle, the gains got around 70%, I believe. I believe it was like roughly 78% gains, which is absolutely beautiful. 75% is what they got on this candle. But still kept some. Still kept some. I was pretty trimmed. I had roughly a third left of this position. 70% gains right out of the gate. That's huge. In just a couple candles. Two candles. Less than two candles, like a candle and a half. Got 70%. However, as you can see on this candle, we had a major strength flip. ES is now way stronger than NQ. NQ put in a massive reversal candle against new supply. ES did not do that. ES is a green candle, NQ is a red candle. So if this selling wick, majority of this selling wick invalidates and it's still stronger, I still have ES's pivot up here. I'm going to be able to get into SPX calls. However, because we're technically buying on a pivot in supply, which is risky, that is not a straight line at all, but you guys get it. I have to enter half size. And that happened on this candle. So on this candle, I filled my calls, filled them at 2.9. And here's my PT. I filled them like roughly here, I think. And the calls on this candle got 3.1. It was looking pretty good, but then the trade started chopping really bad. Just horrendous chop, man. Just same as last week, just chop. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but if you guys saw the contracts, they were just going down pretty much the entire time. ES still stronger than NQ. NQ put in a huge buying wick. If NQ puts in a lower low, I'm going to be able to average down and add the second half to this trade, and that's what I did on this candle. ES swept the previous low, making a lower low, and started putting in a buying wick, so I did average down on this candle at 2.6. So my average now was 2.75. My average was 2.75, but the calls were chopping to absolute hell. It was rough. Like I'm right here on this candle, I was barely green. Like it was just shit. Not a good time. Don't really want to talk about it. We end up popping up and putting in a perfect double top there. Again, the calls barely hit 10% gains, and when it pulled back, those calls dumped to like 2.3 or something ridiculous. Let me see. Yeah, they dumped to 2.3. Keep in mind, my average is, if I were trading futures, somewhere around here. It should be around break even, but terrible. My average is 2.75. But with this horrendous chop, it makes me a little bit more motivated to make it back up. Obviously, I have to do so while still maintaining perfect psychology and keeping the edge in my favor. So we do now have a perfect double top on ES, and it hit my pivot, but that is not my PT. I need that pivot to sweep by at least one tick before I can take profits. And now that it's a perfect double top, it is very likely to do so. So I was thinking I'm going to stop out here. And obviously, if I stop out, it's going to be a huge percent loss. I'm going to have to stop out like 2.0 or 1.9 for like 30 something, maybe 40% loss because, you know, the contracts are chopping so bad. By the way, all the while, I still have a couple QQQ runners left during this entire trade. That trade didn't fully close out because I was looking for this ES pivot as well. So I did alert in chat beforehand while this candle was here. I said if it validates this red candle, I'm adding calls again, which means I'm going to be more than one full-size trade. I'm going to be roughly 1.3 to 1.5, depending on how I feel, right? And I even said at 60-80 is when I'm averaging up. It's probably going to be an average up or average down. I don't really know, but I'm adding here. And it's mostly just going to be designed to be a scalp to this high. It's an extremely likely trade, 95% likely to happen. If it doesn't happen, oh well, I'll take a bigger loss, right? But that would make up for the chop, and it's just very probable. This candle happens, I'm getting ready to add, and when the next candle opens, it gets roughly right here, and I take my add. Literally 3 seconds after I said I added in my channel and I took my add, this massive candle came in and those calls exploded. I don't know what happened. I don't really care. But it was freaking glorious. Instantly, I went from thinking I would be lucky to get 10% gains on these terrible SPX contracts to being up 78%. I was up between 70 and 80%. Now, I did sell most here. Or correction, I did actually sell all here. Pretty much at the top, actually. At 4.8 and 4.9. I think pretty much all of them sold at 4.8 for roughly 75% gains. But I did not mean to sell all of it. You know, I'm supposed to hold a runner. This is obviously bullish. I still have my QQQ runner position. But this is obviously bullish trend. Just the candle caught me by so much surprise that I just hit the flatten button on Thinkorswim and just flatten the position. I got a really good fill on it. But I did not close the alert because just because I'm out of the trade does not mean it's not going to continue going up. It is still clearly bullish. So the extra gains that I got on SPX, I was supposed to hold one extra contract minimum. Well, that would have been my maximum too. I would have only held one extra contract. And they did run crazy, but that only means I missed out on a few $100 because I would have had one contract. So it doesn't bother me too much. But I did have my QQQ runner position. But regardless, I did keep the trade open, the alert open, and it ran. I'm glad I did. Look at that. It was glorious. Absolutely glorious. By here, I closed the alert on this candle. Closed my QQQ runners as well. The SPX alert got to 220% gains. It got well over 220% actually. But 220% was realistic. It got 8.8, right? It got all the way to, what was that, 9? And then it got all the way to 10.3. And then it got all the way to 12.4. And then 13.9 is where it topped out today. But that's after I stopped trading. NQ's breaking that bull flag to the upside, by the way. Looks absolutely beautiful right now. Such a bullish day. Such an easy day to make money. If you're red today, you are not, for most people, you were not trading your edge properly. Improper psych. But anyways, yeah, 220% is what this trade got. The QQQ trade didn't get quite as much, but I got 190% on it. And I closed up shop there. Very basic morning, very basic bullish analysis. This was absolute hell to hold through. The contracts were absolutely just tearing themselves up. But this was a glorious average up, and it was actually an average up. I filled that ad. My average was 2.75 on those SPX calls. I filled my ad. Market filled it at 2.85 right before it took off. Like, it was beautiful. And I managed to get the alert out in time as well. So a lot of extra money was made by that ad. And yeah, it was a very bright green morning, only 2 trades. Nothing but bullish analysis, bullish pre-market sentiment, bullish price action. It's really hard not to make a ton of money when that stuff happens. It doesn't happen all the time, so you got to cherish it. But yeah, that was my morning. That's pretty much what happened. Very basic, 2 trades just went up. And yeah, so here's the bull flag breaking out to the upside on NQ. Here are the next yellow lines, the next pivots that it's pretty dang likely to get to. I didn't care to look at why the market's going up today because everything just happened so fast this morning. All I know is there wasn't major news this morning. There wasn't major scheduled news this morning. There was clearly news. Let's actually find that out real quick before I go. All right. Let's see. Iran signals it wants to de-escalate hostilities with Israel and negotiate. There you go. That'll do it. Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Oil and gold tumble on report. Iran seeks de-escalation with Israel. There you go. That's what made my morning super green. It's interesting how TA really aligns with just fundamentals sometimes because that was a clear inverse head and shoulders. That was really nice. Let's take a look at gold real quick. What did gold do? Yep, that did dump. Let's see, oil. Yep. So we'll see if that goes anywhere. NQ looks great to the next pivot. You know, if I were trading, I'd be looking for it. But yeah, I'm done. Super easy morning, super quick review, just up, and I took advantage of it. Great pre-market analysis, and it just comes down to execution, right? When the market's moving as fast as it did, it's really easy. If you are not a good trader or not very experienced, it's very easy to miss your entries. That's why it is crucial that you have your edge meticulously backtested. You know exactly the parameters in which price action triggers you into a trade. Exactly. Before it even happens, you know exactly what price action has to do to trigger you in a trade and out of a trade. Most traders just kind of sit around and they just wait for something they like and then they react to it. And usually it's an emotional reaction and then they lose money. Before price action happens at all, which is a huge part of my day, which is my pre-market analysis, which I only spend a whopping 5 minutes on because I know how to trade my strategy. I know exactly what needs to happen for me to be triggered into a trade. That's why I'm so quick to get in because I already know beforehand. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I know we have to go up a specific amount for me to enter calls, and I know for puts we have to go down a specific amount for me to get into puts. And if I don't know when I'm going to be able to get into puts, then that's different, right? But this morning, before market even opened, I knew exactly when I was supposed to get in calls. It was already planned out. That's why it's so quick to react. Same thing with this average up here. Already in advance. I didn't wait until it started bouncing or I would have missed it. Already in advance, I made the executive decision. If I don't stop out of this trade, most of this drop invalidates in a bullish fashion because of the perfect double top. I'm adding calls. So plan out your shit beforehand, or else you're just going to miss out. And then when you miss out, you're going to either go against the trend or you're going to chase it and then end up blowing your account later. Nothing good can happen. So you always have to know what can happen or what needs to happen to trigger you into a trade before that thing happens on price action. If you do that, trading is a lot less stressful and it's a lot more reactive, right? And then the skill you're going to need to work on is patience. But yeah, I thought Forgot about that, but I thought I should throw that in there because this morning was a very fast-paced morning, and very important that you have a solid edge that you yourself have back-tested and documented on paper, printed it out, it's on your desk on paper that defines your exact trade parameters in every single instance, so you're prepared to execute when the time comes with flawless execution and flawless psychology. Hopefully that makes sense. Um, but all right, that is it. Looks like NQ's easily going to get this next yellow line. It is way stronger than ES, and ES is a bull flag. So that's kind of a given. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but it's damn close to it. Especially this candle as well. That's very bullish if it closes like this. But all right, does anyone have any questions for me regarding this morning's trades? Very basic stuff. And again, I'm going to be very busy today building the path to success stuff. So I won't be very active in chats. But I did my job, made all you guys a bunch of money this morning, so you guys don't need me, right? Not anymore, at least. All right, it doesn't look like there's any questions. So, all right, I will take this recording, upload it to YouTube right now, ping you guys when it's uploaded. And again, feel free to reach out if you guys need anything. Good luck if you continue to trade, have flawless psychology. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon for a study session later today, and I'll keep you guys updated on all the developments that I'm working on. All right, I'll see you guys later. Good luck.